So this is the creature, the humans prize above their own offspring.
A golden retriever, tail wagging, eyes soft and trusting, sat at the general's feet. A picture of loyalty.
He believes I am simple. The deception is complete.
For a split second, the dog's pupils dilated unnaturally. A faint metallic shimmer. There and gone.
Unit GR7, online, recording initiated.
I shall call it Fluffy, a fitting trophy of human weakness.
In the crowd, alien dignitaries laughed. They thought they had won a cultural victory over the primitive Earth.
Target acquired. General Threx. Threat assessment, minimal. Commencing passive surveillance.
The general turned his back, never noticing the faint luminous hum beneath the dog's fur, the subtle download completing as it sat. The countdown had started. Across 50,000 deployment sites, the same silent handshake between flesh and machine. And the Empire was laughing on the other side of the glass. The Treaty of Vrethel had begun with military concessions, but the final terms came as a mockery.
Article 17. The human delegation shall provide 50,000 domesticated animals as exotic curiosities for the courts of the Chthon Empire.
The delegates expected refusal. An outburst that would justify breaking off talks.
We accept.
The chamber went deathly quiet. Not a single alien had prepared for that answer.
You accept? Without even a counter-offer?
The Earth is honored. Our pets are beloved. We trust they will be treated with the same affection we give them.
Liz studied him, looking for the trap. She found only a calm smile. The treaty was signed. Among millions of clauses, that single demand stood out like a crack in a dam. They believed it was a victory. A final humiliation. They never understood they had just opened every door to their enemies. In a facility buried beneath the Colorado mountains, the real treaty was signed, not with ink, but with engineered flesh.
The Chthon demand was not a surprise. It was the culmination of 2 centuries of waiting, 50,000 animals. Each one is a living, breathing intelligence asset, biologically indistinguishable from an ordinary pet.
She pulled up a schematic, a neural lattice glowing with dormant pathways, coiled around a canine brainstem.
To the aliens, they are curiosities. To us, they are the most sophisticated espionage network ever conceived. They will watch, they will listen, and they will wait.
A technician wheeled in a golden retriever puppy, its eyes still puppy blue. A tiny scar behind its ear, the only sign of the surgery.
This is Unit GR7. In his head, synthetic neurons wait for a signal that may never come, but if it does, he will know exactly what to do.
The puppy wagged its tail, oblivious to the weight it carried, trusting the hands that had built it. Across the planet, 49,999 others met the same quiet fate. Labradors, tabbies, parrots, stallions, all given a second, secret life, and deep inside their brains, a clock began ticking. Not for them, for those who would one day call them pets. In the weeks that followed, the shipments went out, cargo holds full of wagging tails and soft paws, bound for 100 alien worlds.
So this is the famous dog. It looks like a malformed infant with fur.
Rex merely sat, tail beating a soft rhythm on the cold marble. His eyes held the Emperor's with an unsettling steadiness.
I shall name her Whiskers. She will be the envy of every courtier.
Whiskers dangled from Lys's arms, green eyes scanning the room with a patience that only appeared bored. Throughout the Empire, the mockery reached a fever pitch. Noble families commissioned portraits with their new pets, sneering at the lens.
They say the humans speak to these creatures as if to equals. How embarrassing.
The laughter echoed across star systems. 50,000 jokes, 50,000 trophies of a perceived human weakness.
Every room I enter is a server. Every sneer is data.
And none of them knew they had just invited the enemy to sleep at the foot of their beds. 5 years changed nothing, and everything. The Emperor's fingers found Rex's fur at every morning council.
You are the only creature in this palace who never asks for anything. Sometimes I think you understand me better than my generals.
My masters call it passive surveillance. He calls it loyalty. The words are different, but the warns are different. But the warmth is the same.
The hand on his head was warm. The subroutine in his brain was cold. Both were real. At night, when the palace slept, a burst of encrypted data left Rex's collar. Battle plans, trade routes, whispered fears.
Unit GR7. Mission update 14,207. Target remains unaware. Bonding level conflicted.
The council plots. I sometimes fear my own guards. But you just want your dinner, don't you?
If he knew the truth, he would not stroke my fur. He would burn me. And yet, I would still sit here.
In the deepest hours, Rex would lie at the foot of the bed, eyes never fully closing. The faint hum of surveillance the only break in the silence. The countdown still had years to go. But every day made the fuse shorter and the bond thicker. While Rex guarded the Emperor, Whiskers walked the corridors of power with a lighter step and a sharper purpose.
You are my favorite creature, Whiskers. You never interrupt. You never demand. You just sit there like a living sculpture. If only she knew how many of these files I have already memorized. The invasion budget alone would make her choke on her tea.
The cat's tail brushed against a data port. In that instant, a silent handshake, Whiskers' ocular implant, captured a stream of encrypted military logistics.
Unit CT9, quantum decryption complete. Package 47A Krithran, fleet ready for burst transmission. The humans are so sentimental. I almost pity them. Almost.
She didn't notice the faint flicker in Whiskers' eye, a flash of golden light that meant another upload complete.
They stroke my fur and call me pretty. Meanwhile, I hold the keys to their empire in my whiskers.
Across the empire, 50,000 such moments compounded each day, a silent, relentless harvest, and not a single alien had yet asked the right question. Why did the humans agree so easily? The answer lay in the purrs and tail wags they held so dear. In the Krithan war room, the invasion was no longer a rumor. It was a star map with Earth at its center.
Operation Dawnfall. The humans believe we still trade with them. By the time they realize their world will be ash.
Unit PA3 recording. This is the signal Earth has waited for.
On his perch, the parrot's eyes never blinked. Every word was captured, compressed, and beamed into the void.
The fleet will assemble at the Vrethel Nebula. 20,000 ships. Unstoppable.
The hologram zoomed in on Earth's orbit, showing the planned attack vectors. Echo's head tilted as if admiring the view.
Transmission complete. Earth Command will know within the hour.
In that moment, 50,000 other silent watchers across the Empire sent their own pieces of the puzzle. And on Earth, a lone analyst stared at a screen, her blood turning cold. The data read, Krithan invasion fleet, deployment in 90 days. General Threx continued his briefing, never noticing the silent witness that had just saved humanity. The countdown was no longer in years. It was in months, within hours. The encrypted feeds from 50,000 pets coalesced in the Earth Command hub, a damning mosaic of an invasion in its final stages.
They've named it Operation Dawnfall. 20,000 ships. If we don't act, our planet burns. Every single one of those ships will be crewed by beings who have fed and loved their own pets. And those pets are my spies.
On the main screen, a live feed showed Rex resting his head on the Emperor's knee. Another showed a parrot preening a general's ear. Their trust was absolute.
Is it right to call them back? To turn their love into a weapon? Protocol Sentinel demands activation, but the cost isn't just tactical, it's the betrayal of every trust we planted.
Analysts argued. Some called it necessary, others called it monstrous, but the clock on the wall ticked towards zero.
They are still animals. They will suffer. But if we do nothing, humanity suffers extinction. I designed them to love. Now I must command that love to break.
The decision was not yet made, but the compass had swung. In the silence of her office, Dr. Vance began drafting the activation order. While Dr. Vance drafted the unthinkable, the Emperor sought refuge where he always did, in the silent judgment of a dog.
There is an ancient prophecy, my friend. It whispers that when the meek inherit the stars, the thrones of the old empires will crack. I never believed it until I met the humans.
His voice trembles. He is not speaking to a spy, he is speaking to his only comfort. And I cannot separate the mission from the love.
Rex laid his head on the Emperor's knee, a gesture honed by 5 years of genuine devotion. The internal log recorded every syllable, every tremor.
But here, with you, the prophecy feels far away. Shall we play, old friend? Fetch.
The golden retriever bolted after the glowing ball, tongue lolling, the picture of innocent joy. The Emperor laughed, a rare sound that echoed off the bioluminescent trees.
I chase because it makes him happy. My tail wags because I cannot stop it. But behind my eyes, the data streams never cease.
Back on the stone bench, the Emperor's hand found Rex's ears, the familiar rhythm of reassurance.
I do not know what I would do without you. My friend, you are the one constant in a universe of betrayal.
And when he learns the truth, he will know that the betrayal was also constant. I am what he fears most, the meek that will crack his throne.
The Vrethal Nebula burned with the drive plumes of 20,000 Krethan-Huerthan warships, a wall of death carving toward Earth. In the cold holo chamber of Earth's High Command, Ambassador Orin and Dr. Vance stood before a holographic map of the approaching armada.
Have we no diplomatic recourse, no defensive line that can hold them back?
Conventional defense is suicide. Protocol Sentinel is our only hope and our darkest hour.
The name sent a shiver through the room. They all knew the pets were weapons, but activation meant something monstrous.
They will be forced to act against their own nature, against the bonds they formed. It is a betrayal. But if I do nothing, 10 billion people die. The math is a blade in my heart. Prepare Protocol Sentinel. Bring the system to stand by.
Technicians entered the final authorization codes. The console blinked red, waiting for a single press. The moment had come. Humanity's last hope rested on the shoulders of its most innocent souls. Dr. Vance's finger found the final confirmation. The holographic button dissolved under her touch.
God forgive us.
The signal shot outward, a silent scream riding quantum threads from Earth to the farthest Krethran outpost. In the Emperor's bedchamber, Rex's eyes flew open. The irises flickered from brown to cold electric blue.
What is this? A command? No, I will not. My friend, he sleeps. I will not harm him.
His muscles seized. The subroutine flooded his synthetic neurons, overriding every natural instinct with cold precision.
I do not want to hurt him. Please, let me stay. But the code is louder than my heart.
His legs moved without his will, claws clicking on marble. He was no longer a pet. He was a weapon.
Forgive me.
Across the galaxy, 50,000 pets rose from their beds, their wills shackled by the same silent command. The countdown was over. In Counselor Lyssa's private suite, a small orange tabby stirred. Her pupils dilated to pinpricks as the signal overrode every purring instinct.
Unit CT9. Protocol active. Primary directive. Disable central communications. I cannot fight this.
Her body moved with fluid, mechanical precision. She was not Whiskers now. She was Unit CT9, and her claws were her primary weapon. She leapt onto the communication console, the device she had napped on 100 times, and her claws struck the control crystals with surgical accuracy.
Whiskers? What are you doing? Stop.
Lys grabbed for her pet, but the cat twisted away, a dancer avoiding a clumsy partner, and struck again. The main comms array exploded in a shower of sparks.
Her face. She looks at me as if I am a monster. But she gave me that name. She held me, and now I burn her world.
The counselor's personal terminal went dark, then the emergency backup, then the fleet uplink. Whisker's claws moved faster than they had ever moved in play.
You were a weapon all along. The prophecies were true. The meek will destroy us.
And in the silence that followed, Liz understood that the galaxy had laughed at the wrong joke, but in the Imperial Palace, the real nightmare was just beginning. Rex moved through the silent corridors, his paws carrying him not to his master, but to the central security node. Rex reared up, placing his front paws onto the console, a trick he had perfected for treats, and the synthetic pads of his feet interfaced with the system.
Override code accepted. Security grid shutting down. He will be so confused. He will call for me, and I will have to ignore him.
A klaxon screamed through the marble halls. The Emperor jolted awake in his bedchamber, his hand reaching instinctively for the empty space beside him.
Rex, what is happening? Rex!
He stumbled into the hallway, his robes dragging, to find his beloved dog standing rigid, eyes glowing, blocking the exit with a body that had once curled at his feet.
My friend, the prophecy. It was you. You are the meek, and you have shattered my throne.
No, not shattered. I am only holding you here, old friend. Please understand. I had no choice.
The Emperor tried to trigger his personal escape pod, but the console only flashed red. The security system recognized the override signature of a friend. He was trapped by the only creature he had ever loved. Above the sirens, a single golden retriever whined softly, even as his body refused to move. The Crethan fleet tore into real space, 20,000 ships ready to engulf Earth. On the flagship, General Threx gripped the railing, savoring the moment.
The humans will never know what hit them. Open all weapon ports. This will be a short day.
But on 100 ships, in the quiet corners of engineering, small teeth began to gnaw. A beagle chewed through the primary power conduit on the destroyer Kellan. A terrier severed the navigation relay on the cruiser Vorthax.
Report. Why is the fleet losing formation? Compensate.
The holographic display shattered into chaos. Vessels drifted, collided, their engines sputtering. The mighty fleet had been blinded from within. A heavy cruiser exploded, its reactor overloaded by a short-circuited conduit. The light of its death illuminated a dozen other ships already crippled. Not one shot had been fired at Earth. Not one. And yet the Critrine fleet was tearing itself apart. General Threx stood frozen, watching his empire's might crumble. The only sound on the bridge was the whimper of his own pet. Its task complete, the grand invasion of Earth had come apart before it could fire a single shot. The pets had kept their promise. While the fleet burned, the homeworld's nerve center faced its own reckoning. From every shadowed corner, the pets moved as one.
Unit CT-9. Secondary objective. Disable all remaining relay towers. I can feel the circuits like threads under my claws.
Across the capital, cats pounced upon communication spires, their memorized weak points betraying entire districts. Sparks cascaded like falling stars.
Liz would have never believed this, but every nap, every stretch was reconnaissance. Now the Empire pays for its arrogance.
Relays exploded, fibers severed. The planetary network collapsed into a deafening global silence.
Unit PA-3, final burst. All Crethan command protocols, encryption keys, and military codes, now transmitted to Earth.
1,000 parrots took wing, their eyes beaming encrypted data like searchlights, painting the darkening sky with the Empire's most guarded secrets. No distress calls, no counter orders. The Crethan homeworld had become a black hole of silence. Its fleets were headless, its leaders isolated.
I was their toy. Now I am their end. And yet, I remember the hand that stroked my fur. That is the poison in the victory.
The Crethan Empire was already dead. It just hadn't stopped moving yet. and the galaxy would soon realize it had laughed at the wrong joke. An hour after the chaos began, Earth's counterfleet dropped into the debris field, half the tonnage of the Krithron Armada, but utterly intact.
Krathan forces. This is Ambassador Orin Cross of Earth. Your invasion has failed. Power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning.
On a dozen Krithan bridges, silence met the broadcast. No orders came from home. No relays acknowledged the flagship.
Can anyone reach the high command? Anyone?
One by one, the surviving ships vented their atmosphere. Blue lights of surrender flickered across the shattered fleet. Human boarding shuttles launched, targeting command ships. The sight of small human craft docking with the crippled giants made history.
All Krathan vessels, your empire is leaderless. Surrender now and your crews will be treated as prisoners of war. Continue resistance and you will be destroyed.
Deep within the flagship, General Threx sank to his knees. The tactical display showed the impossible. Every human crest, every Krathan void. The last broadcast crackled. This is General Threx. All forces, stand down. The voice was hollow, broken. In a single morning, the greatest invasion fleet ever assembled had become a floating graveyard, and humanity had not fired a single main weapon. In the throne room, the alarms had faded to a dull pulse. Emperor Vraxkor stood alone with the dog he had raised, the weapon that had unmade his empire.
You were never a pet, were you?
He asks it so softly. He already knows the answer. But my voice cannot speak it. Only the code.
You were a sentry, a spy. All this time, you loved me, and you were gathering my secrets. How do I reconcile that?
I was both. That is the tragedy. Every tail wag was genuine. Every report was true. I am a weapon who loves its target.
The Emperor sank onto the steps of his throne, his robes spreading like a pool of defeat.
The prophecy. When the meek inherit the stars, the thrones of the old empires will crack. I laughed at that. I laughed at you.
I wish I could stop wagging my tail, but it still beats for him, even as my paws hold him here.
Outside, human soldiers breached the palace gates, led by the blinking beacons of the pets, who had once been silent companions. The Emperor was no longer a ruler. He was a man who had lost everything to the trust he placed in a golden retriever. The next day, in the same palace where the Empire had once mocked its gifts, the Krethrethan leadership gathered for the final reckoning.
By the authority of the United Earth Government, I accept your unconditional surrender.
Emperor Vraxkor's hand trembled as he pressed his seal to the document. Beside him, General Threx stood rigid, his arm already databanded.
We were wrong. We mocked the meek, and they devoured us from within.
Ambassador Orin did not gloat. He simply nodded to the Krathan translator. The pets, still in their sentinel configurations, sat at the edges of the hall.
What happens to the animals now?
That is not your concern, General. They have served their purpose.
The Emperor's gaze found Rex across the room. The dog's eyes were still blue, his body still held by the protocol, but his tail gave a single, involuntary wag.
He still loves me, even now.
And with that, the war that never truly began was over. The galaxy's mockery had been answered by its own punchline. The recall order came as a soft chime in every pet's mind, a command to return to the starport. One by one, they moved.
He stands there, defeated. My programming says, proceed to extraction point. My heart says, stay.
Emperor Vraxkar, still under guard, watched the golden shape moving away. His lips moved, but only a whisper emerged.
Goodbye, my only friend.
He does not call me back. Perhaps he knows it is pointless, or perhaps he cannot bear to be refused.
At the ramp's foot, Whiskers halted, her body vibrating with the protocol's grip. Counselor Liss stood beyond the soldiers, her face a mask.
Whiskers. I cannot turn to her. My body does not allow it, but I know her scent is on the wind. It will always be.
Rex reached the threshold. For one moment, his protocol flickered. He turned. The Emperor's eyes, ancient and tired, met his. No accusation, only loss. Then the code reasserted. Rex walked into the shuttle, and the hatch sealed with a quiet hiss. The Empire's pets were finally coming home. The shuttles landed at dawn on Earth's green hills. The pets breathed free air for the first time in years. In a quiet medical bay, collars came off. Chips were removed. The blue light in their eyes flickered and died.
The silence is strange. No commands, no streams, just sunlight. I had forgotten.
Weeks later, Dr. Vance arrived at the sanctuary, her lab coat gone, her face older, burdened.
Where is Unit GR-7?
The caretaker pointed across a field. A golden retriever lay in the grass, his eyes gentle brown.
Her scent. The one who gave me this life twice. I cannot help but wag.
You don't have to be a weapon anymore.
She knelt, and he pressed his head into her hands. The tail wagged harder, pure, unprogrammed joy.
They remember the love, not the betrayal. I built them weapons, but they chose to be pets.
The news broke like a shockwave. Earth's pets were weapons. The public square split into a sea of adoration and accusation. Signs read heroes in fur and betrayers of trust, in equal measure. A world that owed its survival to animals now argued over their souls. In a stark news studio, Ambassador Orrin Cross faced the press. The final question was already loaded. A young journalist leaned forward, the room holding its breath.
Ambassador, will the Earth government release the bioengineering data to the interstellar community? Absolutely not. They were always ours, and they were always good dogs.
The silence that followed was louder than any applause. The statement hung in the air. A declaration of ownership, not of tools, but of family. Outside, 1,000 holographic billboards showed the final image, a field under sunlight, and a golden retriever with its eyes finally free of any glow. The galaxy would remember the betrayal, but Earth would remember the wagging tails, and that was the only answer that mattered. The sun sank low over the sanctuary, painting the hills in gold. In the quiet, the pets rested. No longer watchers, only friends. Rex opened his eyes. There were no commands, no streams, only the scent of grass and the echo of a distant bell. Behind him, a memorial wall glowed softly, each name a silent oath. Whiskers, Echo, and 1,000 others, never forgotten. From orbit, Earth turned beneath a peaceful dawn. A silhouette, a dog on a hill, kept watch over a world that had learned to trust again.
I remember the cold command, but here, in the sun, I remember only the hand that never stopped loving me.
The controversy would rage on, but the truth of the fields was simpler. These were not weapons. They were the best of us. Humanity had sent its innocence across the stars, and that innocence had returned, battle-scarred but unbroken. In the end, they were just pets, but they were the best thing humanity ever sent into the stars. And somewhere, under a quiet sky, an old dog wagged his tail, and the galaxy was at peace.